This is my version of the popular Tom de Gyro Rig. It's a rig I've been using pretty much wholeheartedly for sort of the last 12 to 18 months now. It's accounted for many a fish on several different venues and it's brought me great success. However, you may have noticed there's a couple of variations I've made which I feel makes the rig even more effective than the original version I initially started using. So the first main change that I've made to the rig is I've swapped the standard short, stiff hook link for a much longer, supple boom section. The reason for this, when I'm sort of casting at these showing fish, I don't want to be making 6, 7, 8 casts around the swim to try and sort of find a presentable spot to fish on, because by that time the chances are the fish have moved away, you've spooked them. So this long boom, supple boom section allows me to sort of one cast, maybe two, cast to where the fish are showing, and I know that 9 times out of 10 I'll be fishing over any form of substrate that I'll be casting onto. So there is one disadvantage I found with the Armour Link hook links. The anti-tangle properties aren't as good as they would be with a stiff hook link. However, through experience, I've learned to overcome that. As long as you sort of cast aggressively, hit the clip if you are fishing sort of a snag or whatnot, or follow the hook link down with your eyes, and when the lead's just about to touch the bottom, pull back slightly and follow the rig down on a tight line. I also like to physically watch with my eyes, and if I see that lead and hook bait separate, I'm happy. If I don't, I'll reel it in and keep doing it until I'm 100% happy that it's gone out there tangle free. And the second variation I like to make on the rig is, instead of fishing it sort of the traditional way, which is sort of sliding on the hook, I choose to fish it slip D style. And the main reason for this is the hooking potential. And when the fish pick up the bait and try and blow out the rig, the bait gets pushed all the way back there, leaving the hook open and really exposed, meaning you're going to get them better hook holds every time. I choose to fish this rig in conjunction with a leg clip setup. I've always been a fan of the leg clip. It ticks all the boxes for me and allows me to fish safely and effectively in all situations. That, coupled with a short length of cling-on leader, makes it the ultimate setup for the majority of my fishing. And the last thing to think about is the actual length of the boom itself. I mean, this is sort of average size for me. However, if I know I'm fishing over sort of a light weed or heavy silt even, I'll be more than happy to lengthen the boom. In some cases, I've sort of fished it up to 16, 18, even 20 inches at times. To tie this rig, I first take a size 4 Tom de Gyro hook. I then cut a sliver of shrink tube and thread it onto the hook. It's very important to do this at this stage, and it will make life a hell of a lot easier later on in the process. I then cut a small section of 15-pound Armour Link. This will act as my slip D sort of section. I form a loop and put it through the eye of the hook. I then pull that through the bit of a shrink tube and use a baiting needle, which will make the process a whole lot easier. Then I'll get my plastic bait screw, thread that on before pulling the loop of the slip D over the hook and creating my D section. I will then tie it off in sort of a knotless knot fashion by taking one tag end, 3 or 4 turns back through the eye, and then repeating the process with the other tag end, which will make things nice and tight. To finish things off, I'll cut both the tag ends and then burn it down with a lighter. I'm then ready to slide my shrink tube down over the barrel of the swivel and shrink it using the kettle. So that's our hook end section ready, and now it's down to the boom. I'll take a section of 35-pound Armour Link and I'll tie that to the swivel with a 6-turn grinner knot. I then take 2 medium tungsten sinkers and slide them onto the rig. Next, slide down one of the tungsten anti-tangle sleeves. Then all that's left to do is to create an overhand loop knot, and this will make things much easier when attaching it to the quick change swivel. And the last thing to do is simply slide the anti-tangle sleeve back up over the quick change swivel. Onto my lead setup, and the first thing I will do is take my spool of cling-on leader. I will then get my splicing needle, go through the centre of the cling-on leader and splice a small section, popping the needle out the other end. Before completing the splice, I will thread on a quick change uni swivel and then make my loop and pull the needle back through the cling-on leader to create the perfect loop. I will then pull the cling-on leader back through itself and pull everything down tight. The next step is to then thread on a tungsten leg clip followed by a tungsten tail rubber. To complete the leader, I will then take my splicing needle again, go to the other end of the cling-on leader, splice a small section, create a loop and pull the cling-on leader back through itself, repeating the process and cutting off the tag end. And there you have it. That is my take on the Tom de Gyro Rig. All that's left to do now is pick a hook bait of your choice, add a little bit of putty and make sure that that rig is critically balanced, so when you cast it out, it slowly sinks through the water. Like I said, it's a rig that I have the utmost confidence in. I've been using it in a variety of situations this year and it hasn't let me down.